Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices, and you can sign up for product alerts. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Every year, the largest award given in gaming is the Spiel Des Jahres, which is essentially the game of the year in Germany, and the winner of this will go on to sell hundreds of thousands of copies literally overnight. And so it's the biggest award that we look at, and today, as the day that this video is launching, the nominees have been established. And so in this video, I'm going to go over what the nominees are for both the Spiel des Jahres, which is sort of like the family level game, and the Kennerspiel, which is more of the gamer game or the connoisseur's game. So I'm going to go over the nominees for each of those. I'm going to have some commentary. I'm going to talk about some games I think that were missing from the list. Here we go. Now I'm starting with the Spiel des Jahres here. One of the nominees is called Pictures. Now this is a party game. It plays 3 to 5 players, takes 30 minutes to play. And in this game, there's a lot of different pictures out on the board, and players are simultaneously trying to get other players to guess which picture they're secretly trying to tell them about. But how they do that is by having different materials. Each player is going to have different materials, like building blocks or sticks or stones or icon cards or cubes and a frame or a rope. And each player has a different set, and they're trying to basically tell other players which picture is the one they're trying to tell them about using these sort of abstracted natures in there. And then at the end of the round, you'll get points for guessing others, and you'll get points if others guess yours, and then you'll be able to use different materials in different rounds. Now I typically like party games. This one has more of an abstracted nature to it. Now a few years ago, one of the nominees for Spiel des Jahres was Concept, and this also was a game that had to do with sort of like pictures on a board and you're pointing them towards certain things using cubes. It's a silent game kind of like this and had that sort of abstracted nature to it. And I enjoyed that one quite a bit, so I might like this one, but I tend to find myself with the picture games and stuff like that and party games, the more abstracted that tends to be, usually the less I like it. So I'm not sure if this one's going to be up my alley, but I am interested in trying it. Usually building things or trying to use dexterity elements to tell someone a picture, tell someone something about something, typically isn't my bag when it comes to party games, even though I really much like them. So I'll be interested to try this one out, but just by knowing what I typically like, this isn't one that's like making me run out and go get it now and try it, but we'll see. The next one is another sort of abstracted game. This is called Nova Luna. It's actually brought to us in North America by Stronghold Games. Let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this game works. Nova Luna is a tile-laying strategy game for 1 to 4 players where you're drafting tiles and trying to line them up so that you're able to fulfill goals and place these discs. On your turn, you're going to be selecting one of the 3 tiles in front of the moon and then moving your token that many spots, and then the next player last in turn will take a turn. You'll be placing that tile trying to fulfill a goal, like having 1 blue next to this one, and you're trying to get rid of all your discs. The first one to do that will win. But you're able to chain together things like needing 2 reds. This is next to it, but it's chained with 2, so you can complete this one as well, and it's trying to figure out this ever-changing puzzle. You also have decisions on when to refill this to give yourself some more options, but give options to your opponents as well. And sometimes when placing a tile, you can actually fulfill multiple goals, like having 3 blues next to this one, and this one will have a red and now an orange. And you're trying to get rid of all your discs first, and there's also a solo game. Now this is actually the only one of the 3 that I've actually played. I've already reviewed it. I'll put that link in the description below. And it actually did get a saxophone serenade, which means I played a saxophone jam session to it at the end because it was good enough to stay in my gaming library after I reviewed it. This game I did enjoy. It's co-designed by Uwe Rosenberg, who in this game has a feel of when you're drafting the tiles, you're using sort of the same mechanism he used in Patchwork, where you're going a certain amount to go get that tile, you're moving things around, you're giving other people's different choices depending on which tile you choose, and you're putting that in, and it has to do with, comboing together, being the most efficient with your tiles, where you're gonna place them, how you're gonna make some tiles key off of other tiles. It really is basically an themeless abstract game, but I liked it quite a bit. I do tend to like abstracts as well. And this one looks nice, it's simple to play, it's easy, and I did enjoy it. So I see that this one, why the merit of this one being here, especially since it's the only one I played. However, a little bit later I'm going to talk about some games that are missing and what I think about some of those versus some of these, but overall I did enjoy this one. The next one is called My City, and it's designed by Dr. Rainer Knizia, coming out from Cosmos. This essentially is a competitive legacy city building game for, it takes about 30 minutes to play, 2 to 4 players. Essentially, each game you're drawing cards and you're building using polynomial sort of Tetris-style pieces based on what card was drawn onto your own city. Everyone's building their own, and you're building adjacent to other pieces that you've already placed. You're trying to cover up sort of the light green spots, you're trying to cover up rocks, but you're not trying to cover up trees because that's minus points. And the game's pretty simple and straightforward right off the bat, but then as the game goes on, I believe there's like 24 games in this legacy game. New different components will come out, stickers and things like that you'll be placing on your board, which will change the rules and give you different things to go for, different things to avoid. And they come out in these sort of different little envelopes. And it sort of changes how scoring is. So now not only is it a 24 game legacy game, it can also be played as sort of a standalone game if you don't want to go through legacy. Essentially it uses like the components of games 1 through 4. From what I remember talking to at Gamma with Cosmos is if you wanted to start, because the game ramps up pretty slowly, and meaning not as many changes, that you can actually start further in. I believe you could start at like game 10 if you want to jump into sort of if you're already a gamer and you want to just get to the stuff that's a little bit more advanced. So that's sort of My City, that legacy style city building game by Rainer Knizia. All right, so a little bit more commentary here. As I mentioned, I've only played one of these. Typically every year there seems to be like 2 games that I've played that are readily available in North America, but one that's nobody over here has heard of, and a lot of people in Germany hadn't heard of. Usually that's been like the key for a while. This year is odd because I've only played one of these. Now I had heard of Pictures and I've seen Let My City. So let me talk a little bit about this. First of all, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. Last year, Llama was nominated by Rainer Knizia, and I was a little skeptical of that game after reading the rules when I did this style video last year. And then when I bought the game and I got it in, I really still didn't understand. I got it simple, whatever, but I never quite understood why that game was nominated for the Game of the Year in Germany. Like, it just didn't hold merit. And I wasn't in the minority here. From what I talked to other content creators and seeing things online, it seeed like the majority of people are like, I can't believe this game was nominated. Now, don't get me wrong. Rainer Knizia is one of my favorite designers. If I were to make a top 10 designers list, he would absolutely be on it. He has designed some of my favorite games. But the elephant in the room is when Llama got nominated last year, everyone's like, well, they got to throw a bone to Rainer, right? They got to, they got to get those German designers in there. They're going to hold favor to them. And a lot of people were saying that. And so this year you see My City come up again by Rainer. Now again, the guy makes amazing games. So the fact that he's there, okay, that's cool. But after what happened last year at Llama, this is and after seeing with My City, so I saw My City at Gamma just a couple months ago. I got to look through it, I got to look through some of the envelopes, I get to sort of play around or so. And the game was very simple. And after seeing what comes out in just the first couple of envelopes, it seems like it's very incremental, like little changes, little changes, little changes. And, so it's little changes like, say, like a game like Fabled Fruit, which is like, it's a Fabled game. It's not necessarily legacy, you're not putting stickers and stuff, but games change very small, in a small way over the course of the games. But in that game, it happens like during the game. Where this is like, you're getting envelopes open up and you're stickering things, and it's very, incremental. Now, legacy games for me are not typically something that I love. I can love them, but because you typically have to play with the same groups and they typically take multiple games, I don't end up finishing most of them. So if a legacy game comes out, I want it to be like a Pandemic legacy. One that's got like mind-blowing story and plot twists and the real reason for doing this. But having a legacy game where I'm just putting stickers and it's slightly changing how scoring works and this and that, it doesn't sound as interesting to me, personally. But again, I'm going to reserve my full judgment until I get a copy to play through a bunch of scenarios and stuff and get pretty far into Legacy at least and see what's going on. But for this one, I think, based upon what I've seen at Gamma and what I know about the game, I'm a little worried that this one has been nominated. I'm a little worried that, again, it's not the Llama case, because I think this probably has definitely more merit than Llama did. But it's still making you go, are they always going to be throwing bones to Rainer? Granted, again, he's great and he deserved to be there most of the time. Is this one of those times or not, like last year? We'll find out. Now, the next one about Nova Luna, again, talk about German designers. Is the Spiel des Jahres committee holding popular German designers on a higher pedestal, right? A few years ago, we had Wolfgang Warsch doing everything. Granted, pretty much everything he did that year was amazing, and all the games that were nominated were amazing. So whatever. But, you know, Uwe, okay, obviously another great, well-coveted designer most people love. And a lot of people are going to go, okay, well, they threw one bone to Reiner and Uwe. I guess this is just like the German Designer of the Year award. Now, granted, this is the German Game of the Year, so they can do whatever they want. But are they being a little bit more slated towards German publishers and German designers, things like that? In this case, I can say Nova Luna is a very good game. I can see why it's sort of nominated, but you know, we'll see what happens there. Now again, I've only played one of these, which is odd for this, but some of those haven't really made it over here yet. I can't even get my hands on a My City yet, even an early copy. But I feel like this video would be not fully, my thoughts if I didn't bring to you what I feel like some of the games that they missed were on this. Now, one of them, actually, I'm going to talk about in just a moment because it was nominated for the Kennerspiel, so I'll get to that then. But one of the ones I really feel like should be here is Point Salad. It was one of the most popular sort of family games last year. Here's a 1-minute overview of how that works. Point Salad is a card drafting and set collection game for 2 to 6 players. We're going to be trying to draft and collect different sets of vegetables and trying to also draft how you're actually going to score that game, like having sets of onions the most and all sorts of other ways to score. Turns are simple. You're either taking 2 vegetables or you're taking one of the 3 face-up point cards. Let's say I like peppers. I'm going to take both of those, start a set. This would refill for the next player, and look at this. I have 2 of the 3 that I need for a set for 8 points. Will I be able to take this on my turn, or will somebody deny it from me by taking it for themselves? Or even more mischievous, maybe they take a card from here and here, so it absolutely kills that point card, and that card is now a vegetable. And each point card also tells you what vegetables on the back side, so if you take this, once per round you can flip over any of your point cards and add it to your vegetables. And at the end of the game, everyone's adding up their point cards that they took with all the vegetables. Like here, we went with a heavy lettuce strategy. But I was also able to supplement that with other vegetables and the scoring types that match those well. Yeah, so I don't get why this didn't get there. Again, I played Nova Luna and I really liked it, but for Spiel des Jahres, I feel like this should be on there. And if it had to kick Nova Luna out, it should have done that. I don't know about the other 2 yet again, but we'll see what happens. Another one that I really feel like should be on there, and it was released in Germany, it should have been valid for choice here, is Balu from WizKids. Now in Germany, it's brought out by Pegasus Spiel. And so here's a 1-minute overview of Balu. Balu is a set collection and abstract strategy game for 2 to 5 players where you're going to be using 8 of these 10 different animals each game. Over the course of the game, you're going to be moving your pawn from a tile you're on to any other tile and collecting the tile you're on for that set collection, but each animal works differently. Depending on which animal you left, you'll move differently. Like the chimpanzee allows you to move diagonal as far as you want. Some animals like the tarantula allow you to affect the board, like moving a tile of your choice into any empty square. And other tiles allow you to affect other players, like moving them away from where you landed, and some of them allow you to affect the market, moving up or down the animal that you want to be worth more at the end of the game. Because at the end, you're going to score points for having the first or second most of any of these animals, depending on these specific scores, and sometimes just straight up points. You'll also be collecting masks, which are going to be set collection for points at the end, and as well as crosses, which will give you a certain amount of points if you have most or second most. So it's a game of set collection and majorities. Yeah, and I thought this game was perfect Spiel des Jahres, where it's like it plays a good player count, 2 to 5. It's simple, you're just moving your person, but it has a lot of depth of each of the animals do something different. I felt like this was perfect Spiel des Jahres nominee candidate. I'm a little disappointed, a little surprised it didn't make it, but it is what it is. Now the last one I feel like they missed, well, I know it couldn't have been nominated because it didn't come out in Germany. In fact, I talked to the publisher at PAX last year and said, is there any way you can get this published with a partner in Germany in time for the Spiel des Jahres? Because I think you've got a chance of not only making it, but possibly winning it. And there wasn't enough time to get it out in Germany in time, unfortunately. But I wanted to bring this to your attention anyway, because since we're talking about Spiel des Jahres, this is a game that I thought probably could win it. It's called QE. It's from BoardGameTables.com. Here's a quick 1-minute overview of how this one works. QE is an economic and bidding game for 3 to 5 players where you're going to be bidding on different tiles that represent stimulating different countries, and you're going for also points and different industries. Each round, one tile is bid for. It's a country, points, and an industry. One player is the auctioneer and will openly write what their bid is, but it can literally be any whole number. Then secretly, all the other players bid face down. No one else can see it, except the auctioneer, who secretly gets to see what all the bids are and will award it to whoever has won the biggest bid, but nobody can see this except the player that bid it. So only the auctioneer and the winner knows the exact bid, and you're trying to keep track, because if you've spent the most money in the end, you can't win. So you'll be getting points from the tiles themselves. You'll be getting points if you get tiles of your country. You'll be getting points for getting tiles going down and monopolizing on a different industry, and you get a secret one to start the game with. Or you could diversify and get points that way. Whoever has the most points in the end wins, unless you've spent the most, then you're out. All right, there's QE again. That one I felt like would have been a slam dunk nominee at least, if not winning it. Now, before we go to the Kennerspiel, this Spiel Des Jahres, it's like back in the day you had things like Carcassonne and Ticket to Ride and things like that, and Splendor was nominated a while back, and you got these games that have like a decent amount of depth, gateway style games, but they still had a little bit of meat to them. And like lately, it seems like, okay, you see Codenames win, you see Just One win, and I'm not saying those aren't bad. Those are bad games. I love Codenames. It's probably my top 10 of all time. Just One is one of my favorite go-to party games, right? But this award used to be about felt like the best family game that had some meat but was still easy to learn. And it seems like they're getting lighter and lighter, right? Like this time we've got the My City, which seems incredibly light, and then you've got another pure party game with pictures. And then they put The Crew in the Kennerspiel, where I think 10 years ago, if The Crew came out, it would have been in the Spiel des Jahres, because it's not that difficult. It's okay, it's trick-taking with a twist, which is very simple. But they think that game is gamer connoisseur, but then they're adding party games. So it just seems like the trajectory of the Spiel des Jahres continues to go lighter and lighter and lighter, which I'm not that big a fan of, because I like light games. Most of my channel is family weight style games, but I feel like they're going even almost too light, where the gamer games are starting to be a little bit more like gateway games. Cartographers, we're going to go over these in just a moment, but the games that they've picked, 2 of the 3, could easily have been a Spiel des Jahres nominee back in the day. So it just seems like things are changing with that. So with that being said, let's go into the Kennerspiel nominees. The first one is called Cartographers, a role player's tale from Thunderworks Games. Now this is essentially a flip and write game, so let me give you a 1-minute overview of how this works. Cartographers is a flip and fill game for 1 to an unlimited amount of players, and you're going to go over 4 different seasons, and you're going to be drawing different Tetris style shapes and different types of terrain into your very own kingdom. Now there's 4 ways to score each game, but only 2 of these will score each round, and there's 16 of these cards, so there's plenty of variability in the scoring of the game. And they score in all different ways, like having forests connect mountains together, or having fields and waters next to each other. And each season, many of these cards will come out, and you'll be often selecting between what type of terrain and where to place the shape. Other times you'll have to select between different shapes. Some of them give you money, which is points, some of them don't, but they're usually bigger. And sometimes monsters will come out and other players will be drawing on your sheet where they are, because they're minus points for everything that surrounds them. And each round only 2 of these score, like these 2 in spring, these 2 in summer, these 2 in fall, and these 2 in the winter. And at the end of the 4 seasons, you're trying to have the most points, and on the back side of the sheets, there's a more advanced map that's a little bit more difficult. Yeah, this game's amazing. I did a recent stream of this where you could actually play along. I'll put a link of that in the description of this video, because even after the fact, even though it's not live, you can go back and play the game exactly against me and see if you'll win, because we played the solo mode. So check that out if you want to try that one out. You don't need to own the game or anything, and I teach you how to play it. The next one is King's Dilemma. Now this was my #1 most anticipated game at Gen Con last year, and it held up to that. It's a very good game. It's for 3 players. It's essentially an interactive narrative experience with legacy elements, and it features several branching storylines leading to many possible finales and an evolving deck of event cards at its core. Now players, basically you're representing a various house leading the government. And this thing uses this thing called the dilemma card system. And this game was very immersive. You're trying to go up and down different tracks based upon some secret goals you have just for that game. And different storylines are going to come out, like 5 different storylines are coming out at the same time, at different times. And you're learning a little bit more, and then you're making decisions. And you have an idea of what will happen, whether you yes or no this. And you're going through sort of an auction mechanism, spending certain money to try to influence what decision you make collectively. And then something will happen, and then whoever bid the most will get certain rewards, and things are going up and down tracks, but it's spinning the storyline. And it's just really cool because the story's gonna change depending on which card. It's like a choose your own adventure sort of cooperative game, but it's not cooperative because you're really trying to win. And you're moving up and down tracks, getting different things, and over the course of games, you're unlocking different things, you're getting different abilities. It's just a very interesting thing that every time you play it, even though it's legacy, you go down different paths than if you played it differently. This game's really good. I have not finished the campaign yet, but we're more than halfway through, and I've really enjoyed it. I definitely see this one being on this list for sure. Good choice. Now, the next one was probably the most talked about card game at the end of last year because it came out at Essen. And I think it's going to be the most talked about card game this year in North America because it just came out from Thames and Cosmos. It's called The Crew. It is a cooperative trick-taking game. Let me show you really quickly how this game works. The Crew is a mission-based trick-taking game for 3 to 5 players where it uses standard trick-taking rules with just some twists. For example, when a suit is led, everyone must follow if they can, like the blue suit here, and whoever plays the highest of that led suit wins the trick. If you cannot follow suit, like this player here plays any other card, and sometimes you could play a rocket, which is trump and would win the trick. The missions start out simple, like the player in the lower left has to take the yellow 5 at some point. So they lead with an 8, and the other player could not follow and throws that yellow 5 so that the player that needs it gets it. Success. But as you can imagine, it ramps up having multiple cards and different people have to get different cards. Or maybe multiple cards, but they have to go in a specific order. You can communicate only once per mission, and you can only do it by putting cards and tokens like, this is my lowest card of this suit. This is the only card of this suit. This is my highest card of this suit. And as you finish the missions, you'll go through the different ones one at a time. And there's a total of 50 missions to explore. Yeah, this definitely needs to be nominated for something. I thought for sure this was not only going to be nominated for the Spiel des Jahres this year, but I thought for sure this was going to be the favorite to win. So when I saw this was nominated for Kennerspiel, it really made me go, whoa, really? This is like Spiel des Jahres weight. You know, kind of like what I was just talking about earlier. I'm very surprised that they put this in Kennerspiel because literally it's cooperative trick-taking with the first 5 missions are like practice. So I really don't understand why this wasn't in the normal, you know, Spiel des Jahres. But with that being said, 3 excellent choices here for Kennerspiel. I am going to put my money on The Crew just because I think it would have won the Spiel des Jahres, but I think it's going to win the Kennerspiel. But if any one of these 3 win, I'm going to be happy because all 3 of these games deserve to be here. So if this helps you kind of like digest what's coming out that got nominated and learned a little bit more about some of these if you hadn't heard about them, and then also maybe you'll be able to jump on that stream and play Cartographers with me as well. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games by helping you find the next one you'll love. Did you miss the Game Topper 2.0 Kickstarter? Have no fear, it's not too late to get in on the ultimate gaming accessory. Convert your table into a high-quality gaming table with a fully portable Game Topper system and take advantage of some of the best 3mm premium gaming mats in the industry. New styles, new sizes, and new accessories can be yours. Upgrade every game you play by late backing now at GameToppersLLC.com.